Good morning, everyone, and you're welcome once again to another educational program. My name is Princess Ewuna Idum, and I'm the coordinator at American Kana Adoba at Mobile Web Ghana. American Spaces provides access to current and reliable information about the United States through its book collections, internet access, events, and activities for everyone. Today, we'll be discussing an important topic where we are going to look at the progress of gender-based violence advocacy in Ghana. To do this session is our very own Superintendent Sophia Enim, who is going to discuss on how gender-based violence has progressed in our country. So please, during the session, kindly type all your comments or your questions in the comment section below, and they will be addressed. So thank you so much for staying with us, and without much ado, I'll hand it over to Madam Sophia. Good morning, Sophia.
Good morning.
So please, Madam, you can go ahead and share your slides. Yeah.
Good morning, Priscilla, and good morning, everyone. Priscilla, I'll join you soon.
Yes, please, we'll be on hold. So as we wait for Madam Sophia to prepare her slides, as in presenting her slides, I would want to introduce you to an amazing resource that is known as the eLibrary USA. So the eLibrary USA is a state-of-the-art digital premier library. And so you could get all amazing resources online, and they could be magazines, books, newspapers, and dissertations. They're amazing resources that are also current. And so if you want access to that, the link will be shared in the comment section below, and so that you could register to be able to have access to that. And so I trust that Madam Sophia will be joining us very soon. And so as we wait for her, you could just send in your questions or your comments. Let us know where you are watching us from. Let's know also your thoughts about the progress of gender-based violence here in Ghana. Is the police doing enough? Are people, citizens reporting enough on this issue? Okay, so now Madam Sophia is ready, and I'll hand it over to her.
Once again, good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning.
Yes, and good morning, my listeners. So today we are discussing the progress of gender-based violence advocacy, how we have been able to progress on gender-based violence. I'll first of all talk about gender-based violence, as we all know, as an act of crime that undermines the health, dignity, security, and autonomy of its victims. We know gender-based violence has forms, and these things are perpetuated through physically, sexually, psychologically, or emotionally, and economically. And we see all these aspects of gender-based violence perpetrating in our various homes, or in our families, in the community, and then in the state. And these perpetrators, what they seek to do is to intimidate these victims. They deny them access to resources or services that may even help them to seek redress or justice of the violence being perpetrated to them. So you realize that it becomes kind of a cycle. It goes on. Some of them are not able to report. Some of them become quiet and they die in it. Some of them fall victims as they get injured. Some even resort to substance abuse and all that. So we are looking at, so how have we done so far in curbing this menace? As we know, as for police, we are there. Those that are able to report or help to report at the police stations, they are helped. They are assisted to seek assistance to our various health setups. We investigate the cases, and then we are also able to send them to court for justice. So much is being done. Apart from police coming in, we also know that the NGOs and the CSOs, they are also doing much, and other people, they're also doing much to create awareness about gender-based violence, to encourage the society to take action. We all know that gender-based violence, it involves men and women, but mostly the women are affected. So in creating awareness, we are saying that we have to enforce zero tolerance of all forms of violence against all persons, because men are sometimes also affected by women or some other people. We are also saying that people are also creating public awareness that are directed towards both men and women to enable them to know their legal and human rights, the legal consequences of abusive behavior, as well as the impact of gender-based violence on future generations. In fact, this public awareness, sometimes they are done in schools, churches, marketplaces, for people to know their rights, their human rights, so that if anybody is perpetrating these acts or these abusive behavior or forms to them, they'll be able to know and also know where to report and what to do in order not to fall victim anymore to some of these abusive people. Awareness are also important because we know that in our economic empowerment, women matter most. Because if women are being abused and they are not able to do anything, their economic empowerment is at stake. It will look like they are always depending on the powerful people, on the people who are intimidating them, those who are not allowing them to have access to anything. They will always depend on them. And that is what we are seeking to avoid. So we create awareness for them so that they will know what to do in order to avoid gender-based violence and be able to have this empowerment to continue to do what they are doing to have this economic empowerment. In fact, to combat this gender-based violence, we also call on the media to also highlight women's important role in production and reproduction, the contribution of women's paid and unpaid labor, and the importance of producing the future labor force. So if women and children and any other people who are vulnerable are abused, they can never be productive. Assuming a teacher being abused every day, how can this teacher go to classroom and teach the children? If the person is a nurse and then the person is being abused and it has affected him or her negatively, how can the person be productive or go on doing what he's supposed to do? So we are also calling, and I know we are calling on the media to also campaign against gender-based violence. And I know the CSOs are doing it, the NGOs are doing it, the police is also doing the outreaches and all that. But media, we are also asking them to help in this direction so that we can defeat this gender-based violence. If we also initiate collaboration between the community leaders, the local authorities, and the schools to create greater understanding of the link between gender-based violence and poverty, we'll be able to go far in curbing this menace. So those in the community, sometimes we organize outreaches, we meet the community leaders, we meet the school authorities so that they come together. They will know, the community will know if gender-based violence continues to go on, then we are going to have more people living in poverty because they will not be able to work and do what they are supposed to do, go to work, create employment for themselves, or also go on if the people are, or the victims are tradesmen, they will not be able to go on. And then that will mean that we are encouraging or we are making people more poor. That is what we also seek to avoid. Again, we can also develop procedures to systematically share information on issues, legislations, and policies connecting women's economic empowerment and men's burden sharing within the household. I know in some of the communities, they have this public address system where sometimes they invite those into gender-based violence advocacies to go there and talk about some of the things they will be able to do. They give them the information on gender-based violence, its effects, the causes, and all that. And then where they can go to seek redress, what they can do, and all that. They also talk about the policies. So every day, every hour, some communities are able to do so, share information to its people so that they will know what to do at every point in time. We are still doing it. It is not over yet. We are still on it, asking people, appealing to the communities to share more information on gender-based violence for people to be able to know their rights and what to do at any particular point in time. And then at our schools too, the GES is also helping a lot. Now they talk about gender-based violence in almost every school. They have the girl child coordinators over there. They talk to them. They invite experts, some of them like the DOSU and other people to go and talk to them about gender-based violence. And we are also saying that if the school curriculum is revised in a way that the gender equality will be known to boys, both boys and men, so that they become aware of this devastating impact of violence, and also women to gain self-esteem and confidence to combat violence before they become victims. You see, at the school, if they are able to teach them about all these things, if they're able to go into deep, if they're able to invite people to talk to them, the effect, the causes and all that, and they become aware, they become empowered, they'll be able to avoid or gain that confidence to refuse or to report so that they don't fall victims to gender-based violence. We are calling on all of us to help in this fight to curb gender-based violence for our women and girls, and also some men who are vulnerable to gender-based violence, to be able to move forward, and all of us becoming productive to move this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sophia. And so this has been the overview of the progress of gender-based violence in our country. And so we'll be waiting for your questions and kindly type them in the chat session. Let's know what you think. Do you believe that enough has been done when it comes to the advocacy against gender-based violence, or what do you think can be done better? And so, Madam Sophia, I want to know that when it comes to looking at the progress of gender-based violence, for example, in the schools, do you collaborate with some of these schools, with some of the teachers? Do they tell you some incidences of gender or sexual assaults in amongst their children? And what step do you take as an organization, as an individual, with dealing with the issue?
Thank you, Priscilla. Yes, in the schools, I am talking from the point of view of police service. What we normally do is we do outreaches at the school. Some of the schools approach us and then will ask us to go and then sensitize the children on gender-based violence. And some of the issues have been defilement, that is people having sexual intercourse with girls who are younger than 16 years. Some have been raped, that is those who are 16 years and above. Some physically, apart from the sexual aspect, they have been also physically been abused by those they are staying with. Some of them, most of them are not staying with their parents. That is those who are abused. Most of them are not staying with their real parents. They stay with guidance and other people. And some of them take advantage of their background and abuse them physically. So when such cases are reported to the police, we investigate and then we help them get health assistance. We help them to go to court, go through after the investigations, and we seek justice for them. That is what we do when the cases are reported to the police, or when in case of outreaches and the cases are brought to our knowledge. That is what we do for them.
Thank you very much for the response. And so when it comes to data, how easy or challenging is it to get data or statistics on gender-based violence?
Okay, so for data, we have data on only reported cases. Cases that are reported to us, we are able to document it and then put down. But we know that some of them that are not reported are also there. So you realize that some of the NGOs, their data, whenever, let me say the domestic violence units of Ghana Police Service brings out their data, you realize that most of that is different from what some of the NGOs have collected, because they will have those data which are not, with the cases which are not reported to us, they will have data on those ones. But we only report, or we only have data on only reported cases, So, and I sometimes you see the other people will have data which are more than ours. So that has been the challenge. Those who are not reporting the cases to the police or those units.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the response. So there's a question here, and it's asking, when the life of a victim is threatened, are there shelters available?
Yes, I would say yes. Once the matter is reported to our end and the life is seriously at stake, we'll do everything possible to get the person shelter. We'll do everything possible. Where it is not all that aggravated, what we do is we resort to Maybe if they have other external family members to help, we do so. But those that are very aggravated, we do everything possible to shelter that person, for us to go through investigations and seek justice for this particular person. Yes.
All right. So please, is it possible to list some of these shelters we have in the country?
You know that where our shelters are, normally we don't disclose because
Okay.
of the perpetrators, okay? So we don't disclose some of the shelters, but they are there.
Okay. Thank you for that. And so in your presentation earlier on, you mentioned the essence of partnerships. Also looking at our media in Ghana and the reportage on gender-based violence, I want to know, is there a strong partnership or media relations with the media and all other organizations that has to do with gender-based violence advocacy?
I can't say much about the media and then the other partners that deals with gender-based violence. But I know for media and police, sometimes the police are especially DOVSU units, that's the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Units under the Ghana Police Service. I know some of the media houses do invite them to sensitize on gender-based violence. So for DOVSU and the media, the relationship or the partnership is very, very cordial. I will say that, but other NGOs, I cannot talk much about it.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. So I'm still on partnerships with the media. And so, in reality, there are times where some media houses, for example, the local stations, when they are reporting a case on, let's say, rape or defilement, they include humor, sometimes making it look as if it's a funny case. So, for example, a case on defilement, they have their ways of laughing about it. So when, for you as a police officer who is also an expert in gender-based violence, when you hear such reports on the radio or the television, do you take action or that's it? And for your other people working in the space?
Oh, okay, thank you. So when cases are being belittled in some of the media or the radio stations or any other media space, in fact, we as police are not comfortable with that at all. So if you ask whether we take action, I would say yes. Sometimes we call at the background and then explain certain things to them, why they should not, report the case in a manner that they are doing it. And then sometimes the issue might not even have gotten to the police, but it will look as if they will massage, it's like it's like there is a judge, at the media house, and they will want to judge the case their own way before the matter even gets to the police. One thing I want to say is that if they try to do a special phone in pertaining to a case that has not been investigated, it's a problem to the police, because what people or what the victim might say might be different from the police after our investigations. So we are entreating, I'll use this medium to entreat all media houses to know how to report such cases. If the matter has not been investigated or investigations is not finished, they will know how to go about it. The police is there. Since we have the collaboration, we can be informed and together investigate and come out with a better resolution or justification for the victim.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. There's another question. And so in instances where the breadwinner is the abuser and thus being arrested and detained, puts a stress on families and livelihood, are there interventions to support affected persons?
Yes, yes, there are interventions where the person has no one. We sometimes we look at, we extend our investigations to the external family members. So if all these interventions are done, and then there is no one to care for that particular victim, there are interventions put in place where the Ministry of Gender and other NGOs come in to help such a victim. We have a number of them that have been taken to, or are being cared for by other people, other the gender ministry, or even those who, or some NGOs or some individuals caring for them.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. And so another question here. I want to know what programs are being organized in schools in relation to gender-based violence. What has been the response rate of schools to incorporate education on gender-based violence in their curricula?
In their curriculum, I cannot say much, but I know that I cannot say the particular subject, but I know that they learn about some of these, because I remember even a son of mine came home and was telling me about the forms of abuse and where to report. They were mentioning the police, DOPSU, and all that is in it. So that made me to know that, yes, apart from the outreaches that we do, that is inviting the DOPSU or inviting other people into the gender-based violence advocacy to go to the school to speak to them, the teachers also teach them. It is in one of the subjects which I cannot remember right now, but it is in one of their subject areas where they teach them about violence and how to report and all that. Yes.
Thank you. There's a question from Emmanuel. He's asking, does this provision include those who are sexually classified, i.e. those who fall under a different sexual preference like the LGBTQ? I think he wants to know if the progress of gender-based violence advocacy in the country also includes persons who identify under the category the LGBTQ.
Okay, so let me say this. In the Criminal Offences Act, we have unnatural carnal knowledge in it. That is where we have sexual intercourse aside the proper way of having sex, the normal way of having sex. So assuming you do anal sex and it is reported, it is in the Criminal Offences Act that you have committed an offense. So we investigate you and then we send you to court, charge you on that section which talks about unnatural carnal knowledge. So we have it in our books, in our law books. That is the Criminal Offences Act. So if you have anal sex with somebody, whether with consent or without consent, you are charged with the offense and sent to court. So it is in it.
Okay, thank you for that. And so there's a comment that says media firms are mostly politically motivated, don't collaborate for proper investigation. And so, Madam Sophia, with the issue of statistics and reports on gender-based violence, how public are these data sets made available? Can citizens easily have access to such data sets, or do the police also share that with citizens as well?
It will depend on the platform in which we are or in which police is. So if the unit is invited to talk about the data, they will make every data they have in their possession available and talk about it. If you want to access the data, the question will be, what do you want it for? So you have to justify why you want the data for. And then if you're able to justify it, why not the police release the data to you? Thank you.
Okay, thank you too for your response. And so, are there trainings done for the police when it comes to how to report on gender-based violence and how to analyze their data and tell the story using data on gender-based violence? Is there any form of training that goes on?
Can you repeat the question?
So is there training done for the police on how to analyze their data, on how to use data to tell the stories about gender-based violence?
For analyzing the data, whether there is training, I would say yes, how to put together their data and how to analyze it. And telling a story, that one, it is not yet done. But any other police officer can. But we haven't come out to say that based on this data, we are telling us, we are just framing something as a story to the public. We haven't done that yet, but I know in the near future, it will come up.
Okay, thank you. And so if one wants to gather data on gender-based violence, which office can they go to?
So you can go to the national headquarters of police, Ghana Police Service, the domestic violence and victim support unit at the headquarters. And then you justify why you want the data, and it should be made available to you.
Okay.
Based on what you want to use it for. Yes.
Okay, thank you for your response. So before we continue, please keep sending in your questions and your comments on this topic, the progress of gender-based violence advocacy in Ghana. And so, Madam Sophia, looking at the trend of cases relating to gender-based violence and the progress to you, would you say that there has been improvements over the period?
Yes, I would say there has been improvement, a lot of improvement, because at the offices of DOFSU, or Domestic Violence Units, under the Ghana Police Service, a lot of cases are being reported. And when you go, in fact, some of them, where they come from to report the case, you ask them, so how did you get to know that you have to come here to report? And then they will tell you, there is this outreach that was done. Also, the community development under the social welfare, they are also doing a lot. When they go out, they talk to them about gender-based violence and where to report if they have cases and all that. So I would say that much is being done based on their stories, whether there should be a shelter, whether there should be a counselor, whether there should be a psychologist for the victims and all that. We are able to bring it out to the victims to help them. So there has been a lot of improvement so far as gender-based violence is concerned. Yes.
And that's good to know, and thank you for the response. And so on the part of perpetrators as well, so has there been an instance where maybe you know a number of perpetrators who were sent to prison as a result of defilement or rape, and they are now out? Have you seen an improvement, or have you seen a change in their attitude? Does a prison really reform them when they come back? Or has there been instances where there has been somebody who has gone to prison, comes back, and is sent again for a similar case?
Okay, so I can talk about those who physically abuse their spouses or other people. That is the physical abuse, that is beating and those things. As for that one, I can testify that I know one or two people who came and then they even reported at some of the DOPSU offices and then telling them they've learned their lessons. But majority of them we may not know because we don't we don't follow up with them after they've come out from the prison, or because our work for the police, our work will end at the court after the sentence is what's pronounced to the person and we sent them there. Our work ends there. So I cannot be sure of the others who have finished serving their sentences and then the kind of lifestyle they are leading. I cannot say that, but for few, I can say that they have learned their lessons after they've gone through the process of being at the various cells or the various prisons and come back. Thank you.
Thank you too for the response. And so now let's also look at the part of the victim. So let's say a victim who has reported a case, it has been dealt by the court, now justice has been served. 5 years along the line, the perpetrator comes back. Has there been an instance where a victim is now going through fear, or the victim is still afraid that the perpetrator is back in the society, so she is not comfortable, or she's afraid that her life might be in danger? And in such a case, if that has happened before, what step does the police take? Does it mean that you advise the victim to relocate, or what step do you take in addressing this issue?
Okay, thank you. So for coming back from prison to meet the victim, I have not encountered that. But in the course of investigations, if the victim comes to say that at the sight of the perpetrator, I am intimidated. If it is, what we also do, we inform the court, the prosecutors, we inform the court that this is the situation. So the court deals with that. The court may say that you are not supposed to come closer to this person at this radius or at this distance. They will give a particular distance by which the perpetrator cannot come closer or go closer to the victim. Or the court may order that the person should be relocated, that is the perpetrator or the suspect. So if it is true, that is in the course of investigations. If it is said that this is what is happening, we inform the court and the court deals with it. But coming from prisons, I haven't, no one has come to inform us about that again.
Okay. Thank you for your response. And so another question, what would you say to victims who are skeptical about the slow prosecution processes?
So I would say that what we need is patience, because you see, let's take defilement, for instance. The perpetrator will have the minimum sentence as 5 years and the maximum 25 years. So we need to take our time and investigate the matter well to know the truth or the fact about the case before it is sent to the court. If you don't do that, you may send an innocent person to court, or innocent person may be sentenced to prisons. So there are cases where the court will speedily deal with it, and there are cases where you need to take your time to be able to get this fact before you send them. So I'll plead with the victims. They have to exercise patience, and then let's go through the procedure to be able to get justice for everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you too for the response. And so, Madam Sophia, in cases where the person who reports a case, you find out that it was a setup or it was a lie, what action do you take? So, for example, a lady lies that she was raped by a man. Now, after court proceedings, it turns out that it wasn't true. What action do you take towards the such a person? Do you arrest her or you provide counseling?
So let me say this. If it is in the course of our investigations, we get to know that what the victim, the so-called victim, has deceived us, has deceived the police. That one we can charge him, we can charge the person for deception, the deceiving the public officer, and send the person to court. As for the suspect, the one that the matter was against, the person can take a civil action against that person, that individual who lied against him or her. But for us, if you get to know that whatever you came to inform us is a lie or is not the truth, and then you are just deceiving us, there is a provision in the Criminal Offences Act where we use to charge you for deceiving the public officer, and you'll be sent to court.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. So another question coming in. So can a gender-based violence victim who is mocked in his or her community report to the police?
I repeat that.
Can a gender-based violence victim, so a victim of gender-based violence, can this person report to the police if he or she is being mocked by the community?
Oh, yes. Yes. If you are being mocked, yes. Why would the people mock at you? Already you are going through hell. So why would they do that? So you have to report for us to probably invite the persons involved, and then either to advise counsel or whatever. We'll look at the situation, we determine whether or not to charge them for court or just give them some sort of counseling. Maybe they are not aware. So it will depend on the situation, how the mockery is being done and all that.
Okay. Thank you. So take another question. What punitive measures are stipulated by the law?
For what? For which of the cases?
So I'm sure with regards to gender-based violence, yes.
Oh, we have a lot. Like we have the physical abuse. Some of them a day to a number of years that the judge will seem fit for that offense. Based on the law, it is meted out to the person, depending on the degree of the case. So from a day to 25 or 30 years or 40 years, be sure that you'll be able to get it. Apart from that, some of them may be fined in addition to prison sentence, or some of them may only be fined and all that. So it depends on the case that we are dealing with. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So our last question, but if you still have questions, kindly put it out in the comment section. So can you briefly tell us the best approach to reporting a case on gender-based violence as an individual?
Okay, thank you. So when you find yourself being abused, if you yourself can have the courage to go to the police to report the matter, I will encourage you to go to any police station. You go to any police station to report the matter. If they have DOPSU attached in that police station, you'll be referred to the DOPSU unit for them to continue. So most of the time, what happens is that if you are at a police station where DOPSU is not there, and they have one closer to them, we call something extract. They will just summarize whatever report that you sent there on a paper and then give it to you to send to a DOPSU unit within that division, within that police division. See, police is divided into divisions, districts, and stations. So assuming you went to a station which is under a particular division where they have DOPSU units, you'll be given that extract to be sent to the adoption unit within the division, and then they will take the matter from there. If you don't have the courage to report yourself, you can get any trusted person and then report the matter to. And if you are willing that that matter should be reported, the person will lead you to where it should be reported, and then the process continues. So don't sit down and say, I feel shy, I don't want people to get some people within the community to report the matter to. If you are a child, have confidence in your parents or your guidance, and then let them lead you to report the matter so that justice could be sought for you. Thank you.
Thank you too for your response. And so we'll be ending in some few minutes, but before we do that, Madam Sophia, can you just give us your final words? It could be a word of encouragement, and before we end today's discussion.
So what I would say, gender-based violence is a crime, and we don't expect anybody to fall victim to this crime. So let us all be careful. Sometimes we ourselves, we could be a teacher, you could be a parent, you could be anybody, but you be perpetrating gender-based violence. Those of us who have our house helps, please, we need to be careful and make sure that all our doings are within the law. And if we don't let us also cover these crimes, sometimes before we realize that the victim is already in serious conditions. We don't want that to happen. So please, let us all come together and fight this gender-based violence for people to be productive and the nation also to move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sophia, for a very interesting and educative discussion. And thank you all for watching, for joining us live on YouTube. And we really appreciate your time, and we trust that you have been empowered with this knowledge that has been shared. And so for those of us who didn't join early, I spoke about an amazing resource called the eLibrary USA. And so I'm just going to go over again. And for those of us who are interested, you could just look out for it. And so the eLibrary USA is a state-of-the-art digital library with 9 premier electronic databases that includes digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, and dissertations. So it's open to students, to workers, to researchers, to anyone who wants to enjoy those amazing resources. And so usually this resource is only available to use in person at American spaces, but with the global pandemic, we are opening up access to this amazing resource. So if you are interested, you'd only have to sign up. Early on, a link was shared, but I think it will be shared again, and so that you could sign up your interest and you'll be contacted about this resource. And so this has been a wonderful discussion, all because you made it so. And thank you all so much. Once again, thank you, Madam Sophia, for making time to share your knowledge with us on the progress of gender-based violence advocacy. And in her concluding remarks, she stated that we all should come together and fight this menace. And so this program was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy Ghana, American Ghana Agoba, in partnership with Mobile Web Ghana. So please keep updated by following us on our Facebook pages, that is U.S. Embassy Ghana, and also on Twitter, the same name. And also note that please ensure that you are ensuring all protocols due to the COVID situation. If you are yet to be vaccinated, please do so and continue to keep safe. So this has been a wonderful time, and thank you all once again. Do have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.